It's amazing how things have changed since Boeing built its first plane in the early 1900s. This picture from the company shows one of the new 787 Dreamliners flying alongside its very first plane, the Model 40. The 1928 vintage plane is owned by a Spokane man. Now, most people don't think of Boeing and then have Spokane in mind.
But we found out even in this economy, if you want to find aerospace jobs, all you have to do is head east.
So we got to do the brakes.
Chris Cruson of Tacoma works with a team of fellow students in an aviation maintenance class at Spokane Community College. A former military helicopter mechanic at Joint Base Lewis McChord, Cruson is optimistic this training program will lead to a well-paying job in commercial aviation here on the other side of the state.
It's a pretty in-demand career, and a lot of people don't have any trouble finding a place to go after school.
Among them, recent graduate Dustin Magnus, who now works at a company called Absolute Aviation Services. He's bullish on aviation in general and the Spokane area in particular.
It's pretty positive. I mean, I was hired right out of school.
Spokane is Washington's second largest city and is second only to the Puget Sound area in aviation companies and jobs. Magnus is among 84,000 people employed at more than 80 aviation companies in the Spokane area. And both those numbers are going up despite the down economy. Those companies include giant factories like Triumph Composite Systems, which sprawls over 54 acres in the Spokane Valley. Triumph was once owned by Boeing, and the airplane giant remains its biggest customer. The 500 workers here fabricate composite floorboards for Boeing jets, including the new 787 Dreamliner. They also make air ducts and other strong, lightweight parts for Boeing and other plane makers. Even at 2 shifts a day, 6 days a week, the company struggles to meet demand and is hiring nearly 100 more workers this year as the 787 takes flight.
When at night and you see an airline in the sky and it's flashing the white lights, this is what does the flashing.
Back at Absolute Aviation Services on the campus of the Spokane International Airport, co-owner Al Gar describes how his company specializes in repairing and refurbishing airplane parts that airlines used to throw away when they failed. One example, this burned out wingtip strobe light that cost about $500 new.
You can see the reflector, the glass tube, see how clean it is. We do this for about half the price of new.
This unique business model saves the airlines millions of dollars and earns the company $3 million a year in revenues. The company has grown from just 2 employees 6 years ago to 32 now, including Dustin Magnus.
It's getting to be a more specialized field.
Other specialized companies are sprouting up in Spokane, many joining Absolute Aviation on the outskirts of the international airport. One is Associated Painters, about to move into a brand new hangar big enough to paint 2 737s at a time. The company is based in Everett, and Vice President Reed Freese says when the decision was made to expand, Spokane's vibrant aviation industry made it the obvious choice.
Eastern Washington has a very favorable, progressive business climate that is attractive to us.
An hour-and-a-half drive to the west lies Moses Lake, the other major aerospace center in Eastern Washington. Grant County International Airport operates 5 runways, including the longest runway in the Northwest, running nearly 2.5 miles. What it doesn't have is commercial air service, a victim of the recession. The gleaming, nearly new terminal is virtually empty, its ticket counters abandoned. But that doesn't mean the airport isn't thriving.
Things have been going along well. We did not have any layoffs during the economic downturn.
That's because the military, Boeing, and commercial airlines pay to use Moses Lake's long runways for aircraft testing and pilot training. Those services and surrounding aviation businesses generate more than 1,000 jobs and nearly $3 million a year in revenues.
We're just going to remove it and then service it?
Small wonder Chris Cruson is so optimistic. She could have enrolled in a similar training course closer to her Western Washington roots, but she's chosen the lifestyle and job opportunities she's finding in Eastern Washington.
There's a lot of aviation in this area. It seems to be a pretty successful career around here.
It isn't just the business of aviation that's expanding in Eastern Washington. That mechanic training program at Spokane Community College is growing too. School officials are raising money for a new $15 million aerospace technology center at Spokane International Airport. It's expected to open by 2013.